Have you ever felt like you were born for something greater, but you just can't explain it? Like there's a fire inside you waiting to be released, but the world hasn't seen it yet. What if I told you that fire isn't random? It's a divine signal, a calling. Welcome to Divine Calling, where we don't play small and we don't hide from destiny. If you're here, it's not by accident. You've been led here for a reason. Because in this video, you're going to discover truths that most people never dare to say out loud. You're going to understand why you were chosen, and why it's time the world sees it, in public, loud and clear. Let's begin. You were born with thunder in your chest, not silence. Every time you bite your tongue, every time you dim your light to avoid making others uncomfortable, you bury the reason you were chosen. The fire in you wasn't placed there to be tamed. It was meant to consume fear, destroy mediocrity, and light up the world. But if you don't perform, publicly and boldly, that fire turns to ash. The stage was never meant to be safe. It was meant to test you, to stretch you, to reveal the divine force that lives inside your bones. Stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. And when you step out, trembling or not, you activate heaven's full backing. You become a vessel of power, a walking declaration that the chosen have awakened. People need to see you rise, not because you need their approval, but because your obedience becomes their permission. When you move, others remember they can move too. When you speak, dormant dreams start breathing again. That's why it has to be public, because visibility isn't vanity, it's responsibility. The chosen one doesn't hide in shadows. You think you're protecting yourself by holding back, but in reality, you're protecting fear. Every time you silence your roar, you strengthen the lie that you were never enough. But that lie dies the moment you perform, not just anywhere. In public, where your light can't be ignored, where your power confronts the atmosphere and commands respect. So stand up, speak loud, move without apology. Let your performance be the prophecy. Let it be the judgment against every doubt that ever tried to shrink you. You don't need a stage. You are the stage. And the world is waiting. Don't keep them waiting any longer. You keep asking for a sign, but what if you are the sign? What if heaven is just waiting on you to move, to act, to show the world what obedience truly looks like? The chosen don't get comfort. They get calling, and calling demands action. Public, raw, uncomfortable action. You're not meant to rehearse forever. You're meant to release. The ones who changed history didn't wait for perfect timing. They acted while trembling. They stood while doubted. They moved while mocked, and still they ignited nations. What's stopping you? The same people who judge you in silence will be the first to applaud once the crowd roars. But applause is not the mission. Impact is. Performing in public isn't about ego. It's about alignment. You are carrying something that this world desperately needs to see. Not filtered, not watered down, fully unleashed. And until you reveal it, everything around you stays smaller than it was meant to be. Your delay is delaying someone else's breakthrough. There is no private breakthrough without public demonstration. You pray in private, but you must perform in public. Why? Because the crowd isn't your enemy. They are your witnesses. They need to see the boldness of someone who obeys the unseen. That kind of obedience shakes atmospheres. That kind of performance rewrites expectations. So this is your moment. Not next week. Not once you feel more confident. Now. You were chosen. You were equipped. And the time to be seen is here. Do it for the doubters. Do it for the believers. But most of all, do it because that's what the chosen ones were born to do. You keep looking around, wondering who will give you permission. But chosen ones don't ask for permission. They become it. You are the signal, you are the shift. But as long as you wait for confirmation from those who can't even see your blueprint, you'll keep shrinking to fit rooms you were born to renovate. The call is real, the stage is ready. Why are you still silent? The world doesn't need another performer. It needs a disruptor, someone bold enough to walk into the noise and still release truth. That someone is you, not because you're perfect, but because you're aligned. When the chosen act, it's not about talent, it's about obedience. And that obedience breaks chains, but only when it's visible, only when it's public. Your hesitation isn't humility, it's fear dressed in disguise. You say, I'm not ready, but what you really mean is, I'm afraid of what they'll think. Let them think, let them talk, let them doubt. Their opinions are not your assignment. Your only job is to perform, and not just anywhere, in front of the very eyes that expected your failure. The moment you step into your power, something shifts, not just around you, but within you. You stop needing approval and start creating awakening. People don't remember those who fit in. They remember those who break the pattern. You were born to be unforgettable. And that doesn't happen behind closed doors. It happens in the open, bold, unapologetic. So stop editing yourself. Stop waiting for a softer audience. The message you carry is sharp for a reason. It cuts chains, it wounds lies, it wakes the dead. Not because they're weak, but because suppression is spiritual suffocation. You were made to release, not repress. You were formed to awaken, not adjust. And yet every time you minimize your calling for comfort, you rob the world of a revelation it desperately needs. There are people assigned to your voice. Don't make them starve. Your public demonstration is not about you. It's about legacy. It's about shaking the ground so others remember their roots. You're not here to impress, you're here to imprint. To leave marks that echo in the lives of strangers, but those marks can't form in silence. They form when you act. Loud, visible, relentless. There's a war for your visibility, because darkness knows that when you're seen, others wake up. That's why resistance rises when you try to speak. That's why doors seem to close right before you move. But don't mistake opposition for a closed path. It's proof that what's in you is dangerous to everything that profits from silence. This is your divine appointment, and it's public. Your whisper won't do here. You need to rise like fire and strike like lightning. Don't tiptoe around destiny. Stomp, roar, tear through the expectations. The world is starving for real, and you're not just real, you're chosen. Let them see what heaven sent. You weren't chosen to be liked. You were chosen to lead. And real leadership doesn't begin with applause. It begins with isolation, with rejection, with people misunderstanding your fire. But that's the price of impact. The chosen one walks through ridicule so that others can walk through freedom. You don't need the crowd to cheer before you move. You need to move and let the crowd catch up. When God places a calling on your life, He doesn't send a memo to your critics. They won't understand. They weren't meant to. Your assignment is encrypted. Only you can decode it, and only when you act. So stop explaining yourself to people who weren't in the room when you were anointed. Show them, not with words, with public demonstration. You're trying to fit your destiny into small minds and weak expectations. That's why it feels heavy. That's why it doesn't fit, because you're trying to carry fire in a paper box. Let it burn, let it spill. Let it consume every excuse that told you to wait until you're more polished. You weren't chosen because you're polished. You were chosen because you're dangerous to the status quo. The world wants you diluted, quiet, safe. But you weren't sent to be safe. You were sent to disrupt, to shake the system, to speak when it's uncomfortable, to move when others are frozen. And if that makes them uncomfortable, good. Your presence should convict. Not because you're trying to offend, but because you can't pretend. You want clarity? It comes with movement. You want courage? It grows with risk. The fire doesn't fall on those who wait. It falls on those who act. And the chosen one knows this. The call doesn't get lighter, but you get bolder. So go. Shake the ground. Let them see why heaven whispered your name into this generation. The most dangerous thing you can do is play it safe when you were born to provoke change. Playing small doesn't protect you, it imprisons you. And every day you pretend to be less than what you are. You deepen your own chains. But chains break the moment you step into the spotlight, not for ego, but for purpose. The people who mock you now are secretly watching. waiting, studying. Your boldness gives them permission to wake up from their own slumber. But they won't wake up to whispers, they'll wake up when you roar. Your public obedience isn't a performance, it's a battle cry. And the battlefield is silence. You win by breaking it. You're praying for revival, but revival begins with you. The trembling in your voice is not weakness, it's proof you're confronting something bigger than you. And heaven honors that. Heaven amplifies that. The difference between the chosen and the average isn't power, it's courage. Many are called, few respond. But you've already heard the call. Now it's time to respond with action, with presence, with noise. Don't just exist, explode. Let your obedience paint the skies. Let your performance awaken the dry bones around you. You think you're waiting on the right opportunity. But the truth is, the right opportunity is waiting on you. Doors don't open for the hesitant. They open for the bold. And sometimes they don't open at all until you kick them down. You weren't made to knock politely. You were made to enter, publicly, powerfully, without apology. There's a version of you that this world desperately needs, but it can't emerge in hiding. The longer you suppress your voice, the longer others stay blind. This isn't about showing off, this is about showing up. And your silence is not humility, it's disobedience in disguise. Your roar is overdue, your presence is required. People are not inspired by what you think, they're inspired by what you do, especially when it costs you. Especially when you do it afraid. The chosen don't wait for the atmosphere to shift, they shift the atmosphere. That's why your performance must be seen, because fire behind curtains still leaves the room in darkness. You were never meant to live in rehearsal. That fear you feel, that shaking in your bones, that's confirmation, not a warning. That's the sign that what you're about to do matters. So do it publicly, shake while doing it, sweat while doing it. Just don't stop. The world isn't changed by the perfect, it's changed by the willing. This is your call to go live, not just on camera, but in reality. Loud, seen, bold. Stop hiding the very thing that could heal someone else. It was meant to be experienced, and that experience happens when you show up in full authority. No half steps, no watered down energy, just you on fire in public, because private greatness is still invisible and invisible warriors don't win visible battles. This generation doesn't need more talk. It needs encounters, moments that slap the sleep out of their souls. You are one of those moments. But not if you keep waiting for confirmation. You already are the confirmation. Your courage is the sign. Your obedience is the miracle. The greatest impact comes not from talent, but from obedience. And true obedience is loud. It shows up in the open. It walks into rooms that never invited it and changes the temperature. You were never meant to adjust to the climate. You were born to set it. Let them feel your flame. So go where they told you not to. Say what they said to suppress. Move where fear tried to freeze you. You are not here to entertain. You are here to awaken. And awakening only happens when what's inside you breaks into the world around you. Loud, raw, undeniable. They won't understand your silence, and they won't understand your roar either. But at least one of them will shake the earth. You're not here to be understood, you're here to be unleashed. The ones who watch but never believe are not your concern. Your concern is obedience. Visible, raw, untamed obedience that makes hell nervous and heaven rejoice. You don't owe this world an explanation for your fire. You owe it a demonstration. When the chosen rise, it's never quiet, it's disruptive. It cracks foundations. That's the point. You weren't meant to politely participate. You were born to interrupt, to challenge, to awaken. And that can't happen in the background. The lie is that you need to be more prepared. The truth is, preparation happens in movement. You'll never feel fully ready. But when you step out, the anointing catches you. And that moment, when the divine collides with your risk, is when miracles happen. But miracles don't happen in stunts. They happen in the open. Some of the greatest revolutions started with one voice daring to be loud in the face of mass silence. That voice could be yours. But not if it stays trapped in your throat. Your voice carries deliverance. Your motion carries awakening. But they only work if the world can witness it. That means showing up. In public. Now. The legacy of the chosen is built on public obedience, not private intention. Heaven doesn't honor potential. It honors motion. And motion must be seen to break cycles. You weren't called to impress. You were called to impact. And impact leaves a mark. Not a quiet one. A violent one. A mark that shakes systems and wakes people up. That kind of impact only comes from those who no longer care who's watching, but know they must be seen, not for ego, for purpose. Every moment you delay, someone else stays trapped. Because the chosen are not just chosen for themselves, they're chosen as keys. Keys don't argue with locks, they unlock. You are someone's key. But if you stay in your pocket, the door never opens. Don't let fear keep you pocketed. You're not just a person. You are a sign, a storm, a shift, and shifts don't whisper. They roar. If your obedience doesn't make people uncomfortable, it's not big enough. And now, if your heart is beating faster, if something inside you feels like it's been ignited, that's not by accident. That's your confirmation. You're not here to live small. You're not here to hide. You are here to rise, to perform, to be seen, because the world doesn't need another shadow. It needs your fire. You've heard the call. You've felt the stirring. The only question that remains is, will you move, or will you stay hidden one more day? If this message shook something inside you, let it out. Share your thoughts in the comments. What truth hit you hardest? What are you walking into starting today? And if you made it all the way to the end, I see you. You're not just a listener. You're part of the movement. So let us know you're one of the awakened. Type divine calling in the comments so we know you're ready to perform in public and never go back.